Hi, I'm Matt Goss and I'm here at the Wellington Barracks opposite the beautiful Buckingham Palace. My day is going to be filled with talking to the veterans and military serving personnel, and it's going to be very interesting for me because I get to hear their perspective on military life and life outside of the military. We also are putting a pen in the map to acknowledge the launch of the new single for the Not Forgotten charity. It's going to be a gorgeous day. Watch this space. Well, thank you for joining us today, and just wanted to just get to know you all a little bit better. Obviously, you've been on the you're on the record.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, Iraq Studios.
Yeah, Rack Studios is one of the most famous recording studios in Britain. Mickey Most, old place. I believe it's an old air raid shelter, which is kind of bad.
That's cool.
But yeah, you look good in a skirt, and you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
So I've seen
did
you
my
playing the
best.
bagpipes. Yeah, I've seen the bagpipe.
Oh, did you?
That's good.
Yeah, I was amazed that the bagpipes. You assume that the scale is much, or not, as a little bit more broad than it is. I mean, it's just.
No, it's quite limited.
It is what it is, and
Yeah.
so we had to kind of tune the bagpipes to the record, but.
Yeah, I've been auto-tuned.
I've watched the video, the music video, and it's good. You don't
Yeah.
look so bad in it.
Oh, thank
No, you
you.
don't look too bad, but you look good.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Yeah. I can tell.
So you've seen it, right?
Yeah, I think it turned out really nicely. You know, everything tied in very well, and yeah, it's the right tone, I suppose. Doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, the song's great, and like seeing the military people in it, it's just kind of, it resonates with everyone in the forces, not just the people involved.
Yeah, I felt like, I mean, just as a commercial artist, I was like, where is the commercial song that represents the troops? You know, like I've done a lot of work with the American forces and started the Pop Initiative. Also, you know, in the States, it's so much easier to be uber proud of the forces.
It's very different over there, isn't
a
it?
serviceman or servicewoman, you say thank you for your service. It's part of culture.
Yeah.
And I think that's, in some ways, I would love to help at least push that along a little bit more. When you see a serviceman or servicewoman, you can say thank you for your service, because while we're having our food, watching our movies, playing our video games, you know, you guys are running into danger, keeping us safe, and I'm just, you know, again, thank you all for your service. I really truly mean that with all my heart.
Thank you.
My grandfather was a gunner in the Second World War. My father served 38 years
Oh, wow.
as a police officer, detective, motor squad. So I'm around that pragmatic.
This year's more important, obviously, isn't it, with the 80th anniversary of BE Day?
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know how you feel. I mean, it is somewhat controversial subject, but for me, I wanted to talk about as well how the pride of VE Day and that generation that you know, that gave us so much. I don't think, personally, I don't feel like we speak enough about it. I feel like it's maybe, and that moment we may speak about it, but I think it should be something that's part of our consciousness throughout the year, you know.
And it's such a big event as well, those big commemorative events. It's actually kind of reminding the rest of the nation, but it's about educating other people, kind of making sure people today have a connection with the military, even if their families weren't serving, because like it's part of our culture. It should be the norm. So
I feel like as well, it's you know, people they mistake the fact that if you support the troops, you're pro-war, and I think that couldn't be anything further from the truth. I'm pro-peace, but I'm also pro a very strong military, and so our nation can be prepared. God forbid we need to be, but I feel much more connected when you guys are safe, and if I can be someone that shows that, and my hope would be, and everyone watching this conversation, that we support our troops in times of peace. Therefore, you don't feel just loved when you're needed. Do you feel that at all?
I think everyone joins the military knowing that you don't join to have a jolly as such. Like, it's a great career, don't get me wrong, but everyone joins knowing that like we could go to war and we are your first up sort of thing. But kind of everyone joins, everyone understands that, and we're not doing it because we want to be appreciated by people. It's because it's what we want to do. But so if people understood that, that would be a nicer touch.
What's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Definitely, nobody joins for the recognition as
How do
such.
you
But
feel
it's a
about
good, it's a good thing that someone like yourself is going and helping out with a cause as good as this, you know, and hopefully it encourages more, you know, artists to do the same.
And how do you feel about like that? As simple as it may sound, I think thank you for your service is the first step. But I always say good morning, please, thank you, and good night. Are 4 phrases that we could actually help all of us. But thank you for your service. When I was in the States, it actually made me feel good to go up to somebody that I didn't know and shake their hand.
I think like British people, we're very awkward, aren't we, accepting compliments? So, you know, if we go to America and we're working, then it's lovely to hear, but I guess we're also awkward British people.
But you just said it's lovely to hear because...
It is lovely to hear. I think we're just not used to it and we don't really know how to accept those compliments sometimes.
You don't know what to say back, do you?
Like,
go,
oh,
thank you for thanking me.
Thank you. But
Yeah, but I think again, like in the States, pledge allegiance to the flag. I was there for 25 years, so I do have a dual perspective. And I really do love the fact that it was just very easy. It wasn't something that was out of the norm when you to go up to somebody. And I feel like what you do for our country, and I think is quite profound. It's not like you don't have a normal job. You have extreme environments to go into and prepare yourself for. As you said, when you just said we could go to war, and that's that gives me chills almost. And the fact that that's something that you have to be prepared for at all times. And I think we should kind of readjust the way we think. You are not in a normal job. You are serving this country, and I am so grateful. And my true, genuine wish would be that we can re-educate and we can have a bit more acknowledgement for the troops.
I think there's maybe a middle ground. I think, especially with the younger generation, it's important that we do things that the older generation used to do. Go out and buy a poppy when it's around that time of the year. Go to the local service when it's Remembrance Sunday. Simple stuff like that is what Britain does. And as long as we keep that going, that's the most important.
Yeah, I think but it also comes down to understanding what you guys do. I think I'm all for us. I helped initiate the Poppy Initiative in Las Vegas, and they're like, "What's this?" I'm like, you go into the whole point of it, and I made some great relationships with actually some Navy SEALs. You're talking about the Chinook, and this gentleman was a Navy SEAL, and he had his arm stitched to his ribcage to help re-educate his vascular system, and I was all new to the honor coin thing. I didn't know, I was just about to go on stage, and I came off stage after the show, and the guys were like, a couple of them were in tears. They said, "I had so much fun. It's the first time I've actually smiled in some time." And he shook my hand and gave me an honor coin. That's like one of my first experiences. And at that time, I had a solid gold coin made in India with Ganesha on one side and on the other, which is the removal of all obstacles. And I would always carry it on stage with me to give me some kind of sense, I guess, luck in a way and protection. And I just was like, I'm going to have to give you this, and I shook his hand. And that was my first experience of... Anyway, about a year later, I got a call on Skype. And there was this huge noise coming from the speakers because it's linked up to in my suite. And he goes, "Hey, Maddie, I'm just about to jump this big Chinook." In the background, this awesome force. And he was going back in and just such pride, and we became good friends. And so do you have any crazy stories where you're like, wow, this is like pretty awesome? I'm going to ask all of you. So
I got to fly in the back of a no, not in a Chinook. I've flown in a Chinook, yes. Got to fly in the back of a Typhoon recently. Got to fly through the Mach Loop, and that was really cool.
And you said G-force.
A lot of G-force, yeah.
What was the G-force?
It went up to about 7G, but luckily all the stuff that we wear, which is the stuff that I work on every day, kept me from passing out. But it was incredible.
Amazing.
I feel very lucky.
And yourself, anything?
Oh, I've just been very fortunate being a bagpiper in the army. I've played sort of all over the world. A crazy experience. I went to Egypt for a month and taught the Egyptians how to play bagpipes.
Really?
Yeah, so that was a good experience.
Were you a musician? Did you want to become a musician first, or you want to be a soldier? What was first?
Well, I played the bagpipes before I joined the army. I started when I was 6, and then when I joined the Scots Guards, and I knew they had a pipes and drums platoon, so it just made sense to go there. So you get the best of both worlds. I get to travel, do a lot of bagpiping, but also get stuck in with the green stuff now and then as well. So yeah, it's a good life.
And yourself?
Oh, I'm glad you came to me. I always find that the military makes the extraordinary very ordinary very quickly. So you're trying to think, oh, what was cool? But if you talk to your mates like down the pub and that, it's like, oh no, that sounds great. But I think it was when I was on HMS Albion, and we'd been like the whole of the ship's company had been working so like flat out for like a month. We were in the middle of the Med, and the commanding officer at the time was like, right, everyone needs a bit of R&R, a bit of downtime. So they chucked out the LCUs off the back of Albion. We did hands to bathe in the middle of the Med, and you couldn't see anything, any around you, just jumping off the boat into the sea.
You call it a boat?
LCU is a boat, it's fine.
Okay.
LCU is a boat. LCU is a boat. The Royal Marines would kill me if I got that wrong. LCU is a boat.
Come on, bring it on.
But no, it was amazing. Like, and it was really warm as well, which is always a bit
Incredible.
So, yeah.
And how long have you served?
Come up to 10 years now.
Incredible.
So, yeah, wouldn't change it.
And how long?
Big highs, big
how long-
lows.
How long are you staying in the Navy?
Until I don't enjoy it anymore. So, but I'd be hard pushed to leave, I reckon.
Incredible. So the rivalry, is it real, the rivalry?
Well, the Navy is the senior service, so.
But you don't look that old.
Thank you very much.
The senior service, you hear that?
Oh, it doesn't bother me.
Middle
at all.
child.
Yeah.
Middle child.
Middle
Yeah.
child.
We're
And we don't talk about
We're the
that.
unspoiled one, obviously, so we get to stay in hotels.
So do the Air Force get preferential treatment?
No, I
What do you
mean,
They
think?
get better hotels.
Do they?
yeah, the check-in, not dig-in mentality, apparently. But it depends where you work, to be honest. Like when I was working with Chinook, you'd be just the same as Ross over there, probably camping out in a tent.
And what's this rugby game you've been telling me about?
Oh, for the rivalry, it sort of culminates in the Army Navy rugby game. RAF's
No,
not
the
involved.
RAF win it.
Who wins it?
The RAF won a few of the inter-services recently. but
Have they?
I'm not sure actually.
I think they went to Twickenham to lift the
He's a
trophy
bit
in front of the
pragmatic,
Army.
isn't he?
Not heard
But
about that,
Army,
you know,
I was
yeah.
a bit more rough and tumble, like.
No, we're just sort of very quiet professional people.
Is that what you are?
No.
We don't let-
Of course you are, yeah.
We don't talk, you know.
You just
So he's saying that to impress you.
No.
I mean, I've seen it firsthand with the Not Forgotten. I did a Snowden challenge with them in October, and I was the only serving person at that, to be honest, because I was off ill at the time. But seeing what it gave to the veterans, there was people there with physical, some people with mental needs and requirements, but it brought everyone together just as a collective.
Right.
And I think just something as simple as that, especially for veterans, is
And being
huge.
seen, I guess,
Yes,
as well.
being
Actually
seen, being heard, and then just feeling like they're back into a military bubble. I think that makes it massive. You could see they all just came out of their shell very, very quickly.
Right.
Usually over a pint, but
Yeah, which helps, which we could do.
we could. I don't know where the alcohol.
I'm
is.
in.
And Molly, what about yourself?
I think it's chatting to people. It'd be great if schools did more outreach and kind of visited the
That's a good
military and
idea.
understand things like that. So from a young age, people go, oh, that's what the military is. Rather, even just walking across here today, people are like, they look at you if you're in uniform because it's something they don't see, they don't know. So it's kind of that educational piece from a young age, school outreach, cadets, stuff like that would be great. Or getting veterans in to chat to schools and would be amazing, I think.
Yeah, I think it's basically what you said. It's been seen and heard, and as I've made some great friends, and it's and I feel like it's not as serious. It's like like when you're around military people, you're like, oh my god, you've got to be on your best behaviour, but you guys are the best fun.
We're
Like,
usually the most chilled out,
Yeah.
Yeah,
less
yeah.
banter. You kind of have to.
Yeah, and what about yourself, Ross?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I think it's a good point about getting veterans into schools, not to take the spotlight away from the Second World War during this time, but there's so many campaigns that the British have been involved in, since the Second World War, Borneo, Malaya, Aden, Palestine, get them into to talk about some of the smaller campaigns that a lot of British people actually we don't know much about, and a lot of service people went over there, and it was very dangerous operating environments.
I think the younger generation today also that they're not really overly aware because we're not in any big conflicts or anything just now. They just assume that the military don't really do anything at the minute, but we're constantly maintaining our peace and security of this nation primarily.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about it as well. I feel like it would be quite naive to think that history couldn't repeat itself. Certainly in these times right now, and I think that to have a robust, up-to-date technology. I think it's one of the things I've heard a lot that a lot of servicemen have said to me and women have said to me, which our equipment was more modern, state of the art.
We have to constantly evolve to stay with the times. When you look at all the nations around the world that do the same, we constantly have to keep up to date with everything. Yeah, we always have to be on our toes.
Is there so much, like, if you have so many interests within the military, can you
So
elaborate?
especially for the Navy, you've got kind of your warfare side of things, then you've got logistics, you've got engineers, and that's mechanical, air, weapons engineers. There's absolutely a role for anyone. And you don't have, and again, it's like this generation, like, if you're not educationally the best, I didn't go to university, wasn't clever enough to get into university, scraped in my A-levels, but I'm now a warfare officer, but I've got a degree, I've got a postgraduate certificate all through the Navy, just because it suited me. It wasn't a office job, it wasn't a... And again, there's the reservists as well. Like, if you
That's a good point, yeah, the reserve.
Could
The
do
reservists.
part-time.
What's your take on national service? I would love to have it back, but
I see both sides of the argument, but I
Give me
think,
both sides then.
well, your side would be,
Which
you
is?
think everyone younger should just suddenly join up and do national service, but
I
I think there needs to be a want for people to be there,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want someone serving next to me who doesn't want to
didn't
be
want
there.
to be, right.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Now, I don't think I'd want it to be compulsory, but I think that to move in a place where to actually say, listen, rather than doing nothing, you can learn a skill, you can learn a trade, you can learn obviously the camaraderie. There's the friendship element. And you do become a family, like, you know. And I've got friends that have got service friends all over the world because they've been in the army or the Navy or, you know, or the Air Force. You know, it's obviously not as many
There's
friends.
something about us.
Obviously not as many friends in the Air Force.
To be fair, I think national service would be great, as in it would offer like the younger generation a lot, like you just said, about qualifications, a bit of discipline, etc. But I think we live in a very different.
I know.
There's a very different generation coming through. now
When I was doing this record, when I did this record, I approached a younger producer. He was 30 years old, and he says, "No, I don't really align with that cause." I'm like, "You don't align with,
protection.
you know, exactly." And it rubbed me the wrong way, and then but I think that was just to what we're speaking about, the perspective and the education, really what the military is. It's not just a thing that we need in time of war. I think it's a deterrent as well. And I think when I was writing this record, I was considering also the families, and also the not forgotten, as in, you know, the line in the song says, "Still waiting for you to come through the door." It wasn't just about the soldiers that didn't return from services, it's about the soldiers that came back a different person. And I think that's where I've seen a lot of families struggle, because their dad's not the same, their husband's not the same, or their wife's not the same, their mummy's not the same. It's just, I definitely, that's one of the reasons I wanted to dig into this song and try and create awareness, because I do feel like the war for those soldiers often happens when they return. They have to find a way, to your point, of being included, conversations, being seen, suddenly being an officer or a soldier that's got all this madness in a certain environment, and then coming back and having to just conform and just be in a certain environment. That must be quite a lonely existence for a lot of soldiers.
Yeah, when I spoke to some of the veterans with the Not Forgotten, when we did the Snowden Challenge, there was a lot of people that had post-traumatic stress. And it was very interesting to listen to their stories, and they were very open to talk about them because of the environment that they were in at that. Because it was all military people, whether ex-serving or currently serving. They felt like they could share a lot of things. And I felt very grateful for them to want to share their story, because I'm just a serving person with cancer, which is, but what they're going through is a lifelong thing of, it's all in there, you know, everything's mental, and there could be so many things that trigger things that they've seen and been through, that I felt very grateful that they wanted to share their story with me.
Yeah, I was at Buckingham Palace for a garden party with the Not Forgotten, and there was this gentleman in a wheelchair, doubly amputee, and he says, "How tall are you? 6'2"? I was like, "Yeah, I'm 6'2". He said, "I used to be 6'2", and like the lump, even now I get a lump in my throat. So I got down on my knee, and I just hugged him, and he let out a load of, just cried, you know, him naping my neck, and I just told him, I said, "You're a giant to me, man." But to that, I used to be 6'2". That, as simple as that is, that really hit home to me and has stayed with me for the last couple of years. So I feel those are the experiences to me that have really changed my perspective. Like, it sometimes feels so dismissive, you know, that maybe a soldier, oh, that's what they do, and they go out and, you know, the risk they get harmed. But like, you know, it's a huge contribution, and I think the least we can do is be interested and learn more and integrate the soldier's experience and the army and all the forces, their experiences into everyday life. I thought what you said as well about integrating into schools, just to have some sense of, some inkling of pride. But anyway, that's my little story that made me feel very connected to that feeling, because it was real to me. It was like,
I'm sorry you went through that.
oh, thank you. But I feel, you know, but I feel like that must be tenfold to soldiers that have seen many, you know, extreme things, like, you know.
I think there's always a bigger thing on men as well, isn't there, with mental health. They have to look like this big, physical, strong person, but they're primarily the people, when you look at suicides, it's primarily men.
Yeah.
Because men usually feel like they can't express themselves, because
Yeah.
they have to be this strong character, but everyone thinks they're strong until they're not.
Yeah, I felt ashamed when I started. I was like, what do you mean? I've got PTSD. It's like, so my mum's passed away, but it was like, it really made me feel like my mind, like I would close my eyes and I would see that image, and I was like, wow, how do I get rid of it? And I ended up doing cognitive therapy for about 6 months and I managed to get through it. But I was thinking, you know, that's happening to thousands and thousands of servicemen and women. And I feel like, you know, that's really one of the things that made me, in a way, understand the pain of what happens to, you know, it is a joy to listen to you speak about your experience. And I kind of needed to hear that as well, you know, like I needed to hear there was a side of, in yourself, like there seems to be joy around being in the forces.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's also a very powerful thing, the joy of it. And that's maybe, I don't think, what this generation, the young generation, realises right now.
I think I'm a much more confident person than I would have been if I hadn't joined the military, and it's such a cliche, but the people that you meet, the friends you make, doesn't matter if you're at a unit for 2 years, 2 months, you always find your people in the military, and they're the sort of people that you'll call at like 2 in the morning if you needed anything. But the places you've been as well, I've done all of Mediterranean, Norway, places that I'd never go before,
Right.
so it's...
Well, you wouldn't have gone to the Mediterranean.
yeah, fair.
Yourself,
Wasn't a
Ross?
big holiday.
Oh, it's just, there's a lot of good opportunities, especially as a bagpiper, you know. It's like being rock stars. We've been all over the world,
Right.
you know, touring, playing the bagpipes, which is just an amazing opportunity. You wouldn't get that anywhere else.
And also, as you said, you're teaching people your skill and your...
Yeah, I never thought I would end up teaching Egyptians how to play bagpipes in my life, but I did. Yeah. So,
I'm kind of afraid to ask you what the benefits of...
I joined the military because I wanted to, the obvious things, obviously, you want to serve your nation, and at that point serve the Queen, but I wanted to travel and play sport as part of the job, and I do both of those things. I play football for the RAF, we travel around and play football, play in the inter-services, which we're champions of still, and
Say that
yeah,
again?
still champions, inter-service champions, 5 times on the bounce, but
just that little nugget.
I like to get that in. But then also I've travelled to Malaysia, I've travelled to Sweden, I've travelled to, again, loads of countries, you know, the Middle East.
I think that's the thing, like people would never imagine, like, oh, I'm in the Air Force, I play football all over the world.
Yeah, it's great. It's like being a professional footballer, but I'm not that good.
So Molly, Ross, Rachel, thank you so much for today. Like, I think you've really shone a big light on not just the forces, but what you can learn and operate within this incredible environment that I feel very welcome because of you guys. But thank you so much, and
Thank
hopefully
you.
I'll see you for a few bevies.
Definitely.
Yeah, thanks for having us along.
Look forward to
Yeah,
listening to
pleasure.
the single again.
Thank you. So thank you so much for watching. I've had the most beautiful day with these wonderful people. Please keep watching and look out for the next episode.